So, I want to welcome today Ruth Ann McDonald. She is a practitioner with Quantum Life, and I'm really excited that she is here with us today to share some of her journey. As you know, Quantum Life, this authenticity series is all about sharing our personal stories, what has inspired us, what has been the gift in all of the traumas and the burdens and the things that we've had to overcome. So, welcome, Ruth Ann. Thank you so much for being here.
Well, thank you for having me. It's good to be here. It's a beautiful day outside.
It is a gorgeous day. So, let's just dive right in. I was just telling Ruth, and right before we started, I love getting older because to me, I can look back and look at my life in a whole different viewpoint than I did when I was in the moment. And as an example, in my 20s, I really was a good girl. I wanted to please everybody. I did not do a lot of things that I would have loved to do, but rather I pleased parental figures in choices that I made. So, Ruth Ann, I want to ask you, now that we've gotten older, what do you think about this getting older stage? How has it helped you reveal your authentic self?
First thing off, it helps me to know that I have not a lot of time left to do what I came here to do.
Mm,
And that is to touch as many lives as I can possibly touch. And it is a blessing to be older, even though there's still lessons we have to learn. But I don't think they're as hard as it was when we were younger because we set boundaries now and we love more. We look at the world in a different perspective. We have to look at everybody with love because we all come from the same source, you know. But
right, right.
getting older to me is it's a blessing because I get to enjoy what I came here to do.
Okay. Do you ever think back about when you were younger and look at that younger self and have understanding or realizations about that time in your life that you may not have really understood at that time?
Yes, I understand that a lot of things transpired because they had to, but we get through them. It puts us where we need to be in life and on the path that we chose in this lifetime.
Yeah, yeah. So, do you mind going into some specifics? We always talk about this, well, it was hard, but it got me on the path that I needed. So, do you mind like diving into something that is a true example in your life about how, something happened that put you on the path that you were meant to be, but it created a lot of uncomfortableness for you, maybe?
Yes, one in particular was with my second husband. He was the love of my life at the time. And I knew that things weren't going well. And I had all these gut feelings going on that I kind of like just overlooked.
It's like you were getting signs that
I was
there
getting
was
sad.
something that you weren't really following. So I'd really like to just dive into that for a second
Yes,
because we do get inundated with signs right before a hiccup
yes.
happens.
Oh, definitely.
So can you go into your mindset in that time frame when you were getting the signs? Tell me what was going on that you felt like they were signs, but you weren't really embracing them.
He was staying out all night, and I just knew that there was other things going on. But at the same time, I was young enough that I didn't want to believe what I was getting as other people do the same thing. So I just kind of went along with it till one time something occurred. And at this point, I can't remember exactly what it was, but I faced him. I just blatantly said to him, "Is there another person, another woman?" And yes, there was.
Was that scary to do, to confront him, or was it very just of the moment?
No, it was very scary, because I was always shut down by my mother. Don't say that. This is what you're going to do. So for me to confront somebody at that particular time in my life, especially my husband, it was very hard for me. And
Yes, and that's exactly what I'm talking about is we kind of get inundated with this programming, right?
right.
From our parents, and they mean well, don't get me wrong. I understand that they don't necessarily do it to try to shut us down. They're just trying to get us to conform, right? But that conformity does tend to shut us down. And to break free of it, you almost have to have these profound moments that are uncomfortable to come to your own new self-realization that you can speak your truth. That had to be really profound for you.
Well, it was definitely profound. And then when I found out on top of it that my best friend at the time was involved with it and she was pregnant, it was just like everything was caving in. Well,
Couldn't have
no,
been
it was
easy.
very hard to do to confront somebody that you loved with all your heart and all your soul. And you thought that this was bottom line, the man that you were going to be with for the rest of your life. And yeah, nope, you're not going to do that. So just asking him the question, I was shaking in my boots. But it's so hard, but we have to learn to do it. We have to learn to fight for our own life, what's right for us. And I know that's hard to tell people. Even sometimes to this day, it's still hard to do for me. And then on top of it, he didn't tell me who she was, but we went to this club one night, a bunch of us girls, and I looked at one of her friends and I said, I know who it is. And boy, that woman, the look on her face was unbelievable because she said, oh, how do you know? I said, I just know. And sure enough, I knew who it was. And so I confronted him again. And that was hard again. But I just had to keep beating. I just had to keep going till I got the truth because I had to know the truth. And then even after I got the truth, trust me, it wasn't an easy path to keep going and going, and yet I knew I had to.
What's that look like in your life? Start
Yeah,
out.
he moved out with her, but yet he kept calling me, and it was like he was giving me hope that something would transpire. But yet at the same time, I kept hearing these little voices saying, this is not going to happen.
What did you think about the voices that were saying it's not going to happen? You said it gave you hope, right?
Right.
Did you want to go back? Did you want to ignore the voice?
Yes.
Did you ignore the voice?
No. I
Why?
Because I knew that they were right. I couldn't. But yet I still, I, I mean, I literally cried for 18 months. I had to finally get myself together, you know, but I knew that these voices inside of me were telling me this is not what you came here to do. You came here, yes, to love him, but you came here for a lesson that you had to learn through him, with him, and now it's time for you to move on to what you need to do with your life.
Do you feel like you learned the lesson on the
Well, it took me
separation?
a while to learn that lesson, but yes, after a while, I knew after the 18 months in the process of all that, I came across my best friend that has been my best friend now for over 30 years. She and I worked spiritually together and grew spiritually together. We helped each other. So I knew that that was the path that I needed to take, was to get on this path. Now, sometimes you still stray, like we all do. I was still young. I was in my early 40s.
Do you feel like that experience put you on that spiritual path? Were you not into the spirituality even though you had these internal knowingness?
Okay, let's put it this way. My mother was a psychic. So, yes, I knew about the spiritual world because my mother and I would talk about it, and I would go to classes with her and this kind of stuff. But I put it to the side, which I should never have done, but I did. When we divorced, then it was like I knew that I had to get on a path. People just started showing up. I met somebody that taught me Reiki. I went from Reiki 1 to Reiki 2 and master teacher. And at the same time, not even knowing really what I was doing, other than everybody kept saying you're a healer. So I said, okay. So I did it. And I did cards and I did this and I did that. But it was time, just the timing with everything. I had to meet certain people to keep that going for me so that I knew, and yet I still had all these gut feelings. I can remember one time, this was so vivid. I was laying in a bed and I heard them say, no, no, no. I mean, as loud as if it was you and I in the same room and you said that to me. I heard them. So at that time, I knew I could never, ever turn it off again. Whatever they.
What were they? What
Oh,
inspired
you
the
don't
no,
even
no,
want to
no?
know about what they were telling me with that one. So we'll just keep that to ourselves. Just know that I knew when I got the third no that I had to leave and never come back. I still listen to my voices. I mean, they just tell me, you just have to. I know sometimes we don't, but we really, really have to. That's what put me on what I call my final journey of getting into anything and everything that I needed to do to meet the people that I needed to touch, and they needed to touch
Hmm.
me.
As you were saying, there are times when we are just living life and we're not necessarily on the path.
Right.
What do you feel like has prevented you from being on the path or even staying on the path?
I think a lot of it, especially when I was young, was I was just living life. I got married at a very young age. I had two daughters. I had to raise them. That was with my first husband that I realized that this was not working. So we got a divorce and I had to make a living for us to keep going. When you're young, you're just busy, 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 busy. And you think this is what, I mean, in some aspects, it is what we have to do. But being spiritual, being connected, we have to take that priority first. And if I could tell everybody that's young, that's what we have to do. We have to, I know we have to take care of ourselves. If we have children, we have to take care of them. But we always have to carve out a time to meditate, to listen.
What were the moments that got you back on your path?
My girlfriend that I met, she basically helped me get back on it. She was very spiritual. She still is very spiritual. And between the two of us working together, I knew that this is what I had to do and follow. There's still
Okay.
times that things have gotten in the way that I didn't do it, but it's been probably about 20 years ago that I was told to come to Florida, and I did. And that's when I really started getting deeper and deeper into what I'm doing now. Sometimes I have to really say that I'm scared when I talk. I mean, talking to you right now is the scariest thing for me. Just getting myself out there, doing what I need to do. But I just said, okay, bite the bullet, let's go, let's do it. So that's what I've
Right.
been doing for the last 20 years. I've just been doing it. I
Through the
listen.
fear.
Yeah, yeah.
I think that's really important to realize that Even when you're on this path for a long time and it looks like everything's going really smoothly for you, I think we all still have moments of fear. We still have moments of
Yes.
doubt, and it's how we deal with them really that is what makes the difference. When you say that you still have fear, I can't help but be proud of you for looking in the face and still doing what it is that you're inspired to do. So, thank you for being here,
Well,
even talking through that fear.
thank you for having me. I tell some of my clients, I go to the mirror every day. Now I'm probably going to cry, but I say, Ruth Ann, I love you 3 times. And
Hmm.
if everybody will do that, I guarantee that you have to love yourself first before you can do anything else.
Wow.
And it's powerful, and we have to do it. Everybody has to do it.
Yeah.
And trust me, once you start doing this on a daily basis and continue to do it, things will happen that you won't even believe. You won't even believe that. You'll never believe that things will happen. They just do.
Right.
You know, because you have to
Right.
love yourself first before you can love anybody else.
Yeah, there's so much truth in that. Yeah. I love that. Thank you so much for sharing that
Oh,
because those are really profound words. And I love that someone feels that level of emotion. Other people can feel it, they feel the truth in it. So that's so powerful.
thank you. Thank you.
Yeah. So, what do you feel like is your guiding light? What inspires you to be better today than you were yesterday?
Well, my guiding light definitely is all the angels and the ascended masters that help me on my journey, and my higher self that keeps pushing me, my guardian, my guardian angel that he really pushes me. And just knowing at this age that I'm at, just knowing that I have a short period of time, but I know that I have work to do, and I want to be able to do all the work that I can possibly do in that
Wow.
short. It may be
Thank
another 4 years, it may be another 14 years, I don't know. Nobody realizes, they really, really don't, how fast time goes. I want everyone to know that if they even have a slight inkling that they're on their spiritual path, find somebody that will help you really get on that.
I do feel like there's a timing and a flow for everyone's life, and it's different for everyone. Just like you
Yes.
said, when we are younger and we have children, we are so inundated with responsibilities and chores that we have to do that sometimes it is hard to focus completely on your own spirituality when you are responsible for so many others. And I know for me too, it wasn't until my children were older that I could really dive into doing this too. And not only is there a flow to everyone's life and a time for everything, but there's also a flow on the earthly energies and where we are. And I do feel like that has changed a lot too. So, like when you and I were younger, the timing was so unknown about the ascension factor for the planet and group consciousness. And now, as we have gotten more into this, I do feel like it's becoming heightened for everyone to really put awareness onto themselves and, like you said, go in and really explore that for yourself.
And I agree with that 100%. I think everybody feels this energy level and the negative and the positive that's going on each and every day. And we all have to choose the positive. Sometimes it's very hard not to, but we have to do it. Go to that mirror again.
I think that is the challenge for so many people, right? Because we see one thing that looks really, really appealing on one level, but it may not be the path that is the smoother path. And as an example, I know when I was younger, I always chose the thing where I did the thing that I was supposed to do, not the thing that was really being inspired within me that I wanted to do. And learning how to go inward and connect to yourself and to read your own information that's coming through you, like you were saying, the voices, and you hear things. I'm a feeler, so we all have these different clairs that we receive our psychic information, and to be able to identify how we receive that information and learn to rely on it.
I'm like you, I'm a feeler, can feel people's energies. And there's some people, I'm sorry, but I just can't be around, because no matter how much I cleanse the air and myself, it's still not good energy. And I just choose not to be around negative energy as much as
Well, and that's one of those creating your boundaries about what you are
possible.
willing and not willing to have into your energy field. And I think there's a lot of truth to, we are comfortable around those where the energy is in sync, right? Because we are
Right.
vibrational beings. So that vibration, if it's not a match, it can feel uncomfortable. And I think that's a very profound piece of wisdom all by itself, in that we can listen to, again, that connection that we're feeling through our emotional and our physical state to give us the information that we need to handle what is around us, right? If it feels uncomfortable, maybe we need to honor that. Maybe there's some information there for us, right?
Yes, that too.
That too.
Yes, because I've been in a situation recently that there's a person's energy I do not like, but I also understand that I'm probably here to help that person get on that journey that she needs to be on, but it's still hard. It's hard
Mm,
for me.
right.
But I also know that, when Jesus walked the earth, there wasn't anybody he didn't turn away. He loved everybody. So that's what, in my heart, I feel like I have to do with this person too. It's not
Yeah, that's
easy.
that compassion, right?
Yes,
True compassion, to recognize that someone is at a completely different energy field, but for us to be able to hold compassion for them doesn't mean that we have to take it on. It just means that we recognize that they are on their own soul journey. And if they ask us for help, we can assist them, right?
right.
Yeah. Awesome. So, what's been your guiding truth?
My guiding truth. My guiding truth is always God. Always.
And how would you describe God? What is your God look like?
My God looks like energy. I don't see a face. I just see energy of pure love. And I think that's what we're all striving for, is that pure love within ourselves. And that's what I'm striving for, is pure love for myself
Yeah.
and for others. I have grandchildren, and my oldest grandson one day said to me, "If it wasn't for you, Grandma, I wouldn't know what love was."
Mm, wow. That touches you.
Definitely. And you don't even know you're doing it. But to me, yeah, my shining light is just pure love for
Yeah,
all.
that's beautiful.
It doesn't matter who it is or what it is.
And I think you're right. I think that is the journey, is to accept that love, because in our lives we tend to bring in a lot of things that push away that unconditional love. We think about all the things that we're supposed to do. We get programmed with the concept that we're not worthy, or we can have traumas where it doesn't feel safe. And to really accept that love, you have to remove all of that old programming and allow it to come to you to be received. So that's beautiful. Do you feel like you're better at receiving that unconditional love now?
Yes, I am. I am. And also, I'm learning compassion, which I think I had it when I was younger, but it's like in this later years, I'm definitely learning compassion.
Have
Um,
you seen a correlation between your ability to show compassion with your ability to show love to yourself?
as a matter of fact, I've never thought about it that way, but since you asked that question, yes, I can see that
Mhm.
big time. I think the more you love yourself, the more compassionate you are for others.
Correct. Yeah.
Wow. Wow. Thank you.
A lot of times we have so much judgment on ourselves, and we only judge those outside of ourselves according to the judgment that we put on ourselves.
Yeah.
So when you release that judgment of yourself, now you find that you can more compassionate to others because you're showing that to yourself.
Right.
It always starts with you first.
Oh, definitely.
What do you want to share? What's your message?
What's my message? My first message is love everybody, no matter who they are or what they are, because we all come from the same person, the same source, the same energy, the same love. Listen, listen to yourself. Love yourself more than you have ever loved anybody in your entire life. Because when you love yourself, you can love anything and everything.
And you shared that exercise that you do where you look in the mirror and you say, I love you 3 times. What other ways have you found to learn how to love yourself?
Listening to myself, really listening to myself, because sometimes I hear things but I don't listen. I know that sounds crazy. You hear it, but you just keep on going. And you have to really stop and listen because they're far wiser than we are because we have a different energy. We have it all inside of us. We just have to bring it out and shine our light so everybody else can see what we have.
I'm curious because I work with people who have lots of voices going on their head. There's a lot of mental activity going on. And I think it's way more common than most people realize
Right.
about the conversations going on here. And receiving information, you have your left brain that's the analytical side of you that is just bringing in information of this side. It tends to be the more judgmental part. But then there's the inspirational side, the part that's connected to your intuitive self, that is from your soul source. And I know for me personally, if my soul source will bring up some inspiration, like as I'm getting ready in the morning, I might see something and it goes, take that to the office with you today. And I'll look at it going, well, I don't need that. Why would I take that? I don't want it. And I think through my day going, yep, nope, I don't need that. And I go to the office. Right. And then of course,
Of
at some
course.
point I needed that today. And I'm like, why didn't I bring it? And so I've been trying to train myself to go, oh, wait, I just had this inspirational thought and I'm poo pooing it. Where did that start at? What was it that inspired that? And if it came out of the blue, I'm like, that is inspiration. If it came out without any preconceived thought process, then I know that's inspiration and I need to pay attention to that. But it's so funny how we do tend to just ignore these little things that pop up in ourselves.
A week ago, I had a reading and I kept hearing, wear that green necklace, wear that green necklace. And I'm thinking, why? So I walked out of the bathroom and I did something and I kept hearing, green necklace. So I went back in and I put it on and I don't know what the reason why I was supposed to wear it, but I listened to what I was being told. Even though I was like you, it's like, I don't want to wear that. And I heard it again this morning, even though you can't see it, it's on me, because there was a reason. So there must be a connection with that necklace and the spirit that I have to have. I don't know what it
Yeah.
is, but they'll tell me when it's rep time.
Working with spirit, you don't always know why. You don't
Right.
always get the backstory. And I have told them, I'm like, when things go wrong, you see where I went wrong. Like not taking something to the office that I felt inspired that I should. I saw the obvious, okay, yes, I should have brought that. That would have been really good. My life would have been a little bit smoother. But when you do follow your intuition and you do wear the green necklace and everything goes smoothly, you don't get that, oh, that was why understanding, because it just smoothed everything out. And then that human brain pops in going, wait, we want to know what we missed. What did we avoid? What catastrophe or what situation was smoothed out because I did that? And I tell them that all the time. I was like, God, it would be so cool to be able to see both pathways and see what we've averted by following our inspiration. And it's so funny because even as I'm saying this, my team they're like, get over it. They're like, just ride the smooth wave and enjoy the ride. So there you go, guys.
I think when you do ride the wave, as you say, it does get smoother. I mean, I love the ocean. Not everybody loves it, but I do. If you get out there and just ride the wave and let it take you wherever you're supposed to go, just do it and not question why. I know I've done a lot of questioning over my lifetime, but I've lived a whole lot longer than you have. But anymore, it's like, when we come up from Florida up to North Carolina, I said to my husband one day, what if I get up one morning and said we're going to move? He said, okay. He said, do you know where? I said, no, not yet. But they'll tell me. And that's the way we got here.
Oh, wow.
Sometimes I just say things. I don't even know what I'm saying, but it comes to fruition at some point. That's just the way that's just the way my life is.
How has your perspective changed as you've grown older of revealing your authentic self?
I feel better. I feel happier. Believe it or not, I'm getting to the point where I'm not afraid of things. Like doing this today, this was scary for me to do this. But it's something that I have to get over. They want me to do things like this. I've got to do it. So thank you for having me and letting me get over this fear. It's like I'm a free bird and I know I have an everyday life like everybody else does, but I want to work with people and touch people, whether it's through healing, through cards, whatever it may be, just giving them a hug if they need it. I'm not saying anything or asking any questions, just doing it.
What does authenticity mean to you?
Being true to myself.
Mm. That feels good, doesn't it?
Yes. And I can say that I'm not always, I've always been that way, but I'm working at it every day that I have to be true to myself.
Well, my favorite game in my head is I always go back in time. Like I said, I go back to my 20s and I look at her and I look at my 20-year-old self and how authentic were you? Then I look at my 30s and then I look at my 40s and then I look at my 50s and you see the trajectory, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's not always a smooth path. A lot of times it depends on how well you're going inward and listening to your own inspiration, your own connection. But it's absolutely grown. How about you?
Yes. I can do the same thing too. Yes. And see, but I get to do the 60s and now I'm doing the 70s.
You're doing something right then.
I hope so. But, there's times like last year, excuse my French, I got kicked in the butt. I got knocked down and I had to think about a lot of things. And I think we all do that time to time. And boy, I said, okay, I surrender.
Ooh, that's a big one, the surrender, right?
You know, I'm here for you. I'll do anything that you want me to do. I mean, it's not that I have to, I want to, because I came here to do this, to touch as many lives as I can touch. And that's exactly what I'm going to do till the day I die.
Yeah. The surrender word's big for me right now. There's a book, I actually have it right here, by Michael A. Singer. He wrote The Untethered Soul.
Right?
He has the surrender experiment. I've really been diving into the concept of surrendering. So I'm curious, what does surrendering look like for you? I mean, you said you got kind of knocked up. How did you have to surrender? Because it's different for everyone, right?
Yes, I think so. At the time, I was doing a lot of questioning about boundaries on a personal level. How do I want to say this? Sometimes my husband and I bump heads big time, and I have to set boundaries, which I've never been good at to begin with. And then I have to know that he's setting boundaries, but I also have to look at his perspective of what he's going through, which sometimes is really hard to do, but I had to do that. When I talk about surrendering, that's what I did last year. I said, okay, I understand. I understand where he's coming from, and yet I don't understand, but it's okay. I don't care.
The energy as you're talking to me is that there was a level of compassion that came in.
Yes, oh,
That
definitely.
even though you don't understand necessarily from that analytical perspective, you brought compassion into the situation for both of you.
Yes. And I had to because we both needed it. I
Mhm.
probably needed it more than he did, but he needed it also. So surrendering, I think just letting go and letting God is really hard for a lot of people, including me at times. I don't care who you are. This is the way I look at things. I don't know what's really going on. I don't know what he is really going through himself and all
Mhm.
the lessons that he has to learn. But I can step back and say, okay, Ruth Ann, stop. You don't have to know all this. All you have to do is love and have compassion for whatever he is going through, whether he wants to say it or not say it. It's okay. And for myself also.
And so which feels better?
Which feels better? Doing that,
Yeah,
letting go.
the surrendering.
Yes. I'm a strong willed person. I was divorced for 22 years. So I did so much on my own. Then another person comes in and like, well, I'll do this and I'll do this and I do this and I'm going crazy here. It's like, no, I do that. But it doesn't matter who does it. Just let it go. It's just what we're brought up and how we're raised. And even till the day we die, I'm sure we're going to be shedding all that was put upon us all through our lifetime to where we get to that point of love, compassion, surrender, and know that everything is all in divine order.
Well, I think that's the beauty of walking through the fear of doing the things that you've described is you fall into the flow of that energy and you see how things do work out. Because I think the biggest resistance a lot of times to surrendering is we just don't know what's going to happen. Like we want to control it because we're scared. But the reality is, if you're following inspiration, it always works out.
Oh,
But that
always.
brain gets in the way of the fear factor of if I don't do it, then who's going to be in charge? And that's really where you have to kind of go, I'm not in charge. I want my
Yes,
soul source to be in charge.
right. Definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Awesome. Well, this has been awesome, Ruth Ann. I so appreciate you sharing your stories and your experiences and your insight and your wisdom.
No, thank you.
Um, Yeah, no, I know you offer sessions. You can book them through the Quantum Life website. Under practitioners, Ruth Ann has a couple options for you. Ruth Ann, do you mind sharing what a session with you would look like?
Well, if we do a reading, I do angel tarot cards and I'll listen to what the guys have to say upstairs. And then I do Reiki one. Well, I just do Reiki, period. And I haven't done any at the office, but I have done quite a few here at the house. So I can just even sit down and just talk. That's what somebody needs. I can
Yeah.
listen because sometimes people just need somebody to listen to them. They don't need for me to tell them what to do or anybody else. They just need to talk so they can hear what they're saying so that maybe, hopefully, that inner voice of theirs will say, okay, this is what you really need to do.
I think there's a lot of truth in that. I think when people start talking, they feel the truth or the lie within what they are expressing. And then they have a much better understanding because before, if they're not talking, it's just this jumbled confusion within and it's not being sorted out. So that's beautiful. I'm so glad. So anyone that's interested in working with Ruth Ann, I know that her contact information is on quantumlife.com under the practitioners. So thank you again, Ruth Ann.
Michael, thank you so much. And this is something that I had such a great fear of, and I've overcome it. So I thank you, thank you, thank you, thank
Are
you
you
for,
more at peace now?
yes, yes,
Okay, I'm gonna share that, about halfway, I actually started talking to my higher self to work with your higher self, and I was like, "Guys, I think she's ready to get rid of that fear. Let's get rid of it for her."
yes, thank you. It's gone. I want to say this. I have started a group down here in Fuquay, one Thursday night a month. And the majority of the people are psychics that come, but anybody that wants to come, and we just talk. We're believe it or not, we're trying to study one of the archangels, but sometimes we don't get that done.
It's just about community, bringing people together.
Right, that's all it is. And
That's
they
awesome.
range from 16 now all the way up to me.
It's beautiful. There's so many people waking up, and age doesn't matter,
No,
demographics does not matter.
no.
It's just something within you, and you know if you are called towards that or not. So beautiful. All right. Well,
Thank you,
thank
thank
you.
you,